so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads. Welcome to a very special episode dedicated to none other than you, the pea heads themselves. I am your pea head enthusiast and hostess for the day, Alexa Hauser. I have been blessed to have the experience of helping out with Positive Head's social media for the better part of a year. And through my digital interactions, I began to realize, as did Brandon, that we have some incredible beings listening to this show who are taking the information that Brandon puts out through the podcast and using it to transform their lives and create wonderful things. You listeners are all a huge, huge part of the life force that propels this show forward through time and space, and we think it's time to bring forth some of you beautiful reflections and delve a little deeper into this collection of energy that is the Positive Head community. So as we shine the spotlight on our listeners, what we'll have them do is share their stories of how they attracted Positive Head into their life, the transformation it's facilitated for them, and what they're focused on creating now that they're in a more positive headspace. Also, this episode of the Positive Head podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Hello, all you positive heads. On this week's Pea Head Posse episode, our guest is Brandon Wolfe. Brandon is a pirate and a wizard in pursuit of the philosopher's stone, full of love, positivity, and light. Hi, Brandon. Welcome to the show. Loved that intro more than most.
Same. No, that was super dope. Most of my friends just call me Waffle, though, because, waffles are delicious. Good time.
Yeah, when you were first introduced to me, your name was Brandon Waffle, and I got very excited because I love waffles. So we already have a good connection going. Okay, this is how, every episode we love to hear what you're up to, what your thoughts are, all of that, but we love to start at the beginning. So why don't you take us on a little bit of a journey just through your journey, through what your life has been like up until now?
It's been a whole lot of fun things, actually. I have went through a lot of, emotionally traumatic life stuff in the last few years, and I started out on a little bit of a journey around October. I got to go to Idaho Decompression, which is a really amazing festival. And I met some really great friends that are parts of the Pea Heads community and who do so many amazing things. One of them runs Manifest Ascension, which is just another great little side snippet of things like that. And as I've gone through this journey, I've met so many people, so many different things, and they've bloomed some really amazing ideas and thoughts in my mind. Just kind of seeing how the world works, people's different interpersonal relationships, my own, just kind of how they've flushed out. And I've always been someone who's good with words. So just kind of to be able to write it down, talk about it, and to share an additional piece of perspective of myself is really kind of what I've been going for. I've made friends and I've made some interesting enemies that I still consider them friends. There's no point in hating anybody. Frenemies, I guess, is a good point. But the more that I go on and the more I have these experiences, the more that ultimately I learn. I've done quite a lot over the course of the last year. I've been promoting my friends for different shows and businesses. Some run events, and just kind of helping people get their dreams off the ground while accomplishing my own. I'm helping people find the things that they need. It's really been the biggest part of my journey. Oh, and treasure for treasure. It's a great thing. You never know what you're going to get in a trade, right? Something cool.
Absolutely.
You did say pirate. Come on.
I know. I liked pirate/wizard. I was trying to imagine what that would look like.
Well, Well, when you meet me, you'll know. But that's the kind of cool thing about it. Pirates and wizards. Wizards are the ones who understand how the magic works. Like, and magic just being the explanation for things that hold no basis in scientific reasoning or logical explanation. So, like finger lights for people who do light gloves and stuff like that. To a dog, that's magic. They don't know how that works. We know how the chips work. We know how electricity works. But to a dog, that's magic. So, I mean, in a grand sense, to the things that are in your life that you may not necessarily understand, like how exactly your computer works or how exactly a podcast can be put on the internet, that's magic in and of itself. And then the whole piracy thing, well, if you think about pirates, you can think about the, swashbuckling thieves that, the scourge and scurvy of the seven seas, right? But pirates did a lot of different things. Like pirate kings had established port towns and different things that were entire sections of commerce that provided people in an area that would obviously not be super affluent with, more means than they would have had just with like the British crown. The best thing about pirates is that they came in all colors. There may have been no honor amongst thieves, but there was definitely a code of honor amongst pirates.
I feel like you could do some sort of... Have you ever thought about doing a podcast?
Honestly, I never really put much thought to it. I've had a couple of people tell me that I should get my voice out and talk to people, but I never really put much more thought than that. I figured if it came along my way and I had people to help me accomplish that dream, then totally full send, let's do it. I'll talk to people. I got fun things to say.
Well, I was going to say the reason why I asked that is because I was like, your voice is so, and your energy, it's so charismatic. I would listen to you talk about like history, which I don't even really like listening to history, but I would like learn. I feel like I would learn from you. I don't know. So that just dropping that seed in your brain,
Actually, that's not necessarily just dropping a seed in my mind. That's a seed that already existed. Another part of the book that I'm writing is it's just got a section that goes through the truth and the parallels of fables. So kind of going back through history, like different stories that have been told, different things that have happened across time, like going all the way back to like books of really old, like Metamorphoses, which also is referred to as the Golden Ass. Just makes me giggle a little bit. It's a story that has been like a book of stories that's been around since like the 4th century AD. But in a lot of different fables that you see, like Beauty and the Beast and things like that, you can kind of draw parallels inside your own lives to relationships you see around you. So that's kind of another thing that I'll inevitably be doing. And if I end up recording my thoughts down, or otherwise it might be something that you get to hear me talk about. So that'd be kind of cool. Thanks for adding a little fertilizer to that like flowering plant, making it grow a little bit more. I appreciate that a whole lot. You're amazing.
You're amazing. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes, what blossoms. Awesome. Well, so you're saying, you've been through a journey the past few years, and where has that journey been leading you to?
A whole lot of interesting things. Mostly just kind of good friendships and ways to accomplish my goals. Most recently, my adventures have been bringing me ideas, chapters to write in a book that I've been putting on, at least a collection of thoughts at this point, as well as just kind of other art that lights my fancy, the things that are going on. Honestly, it's led me down a path where I found what I really want to do, and I want to help people accomplish their dreams, to be able to start the business idea that they want. But they might fail for a lot of different reasons, either a lack of knowledge to how all the things work, or, not having money to be able to put behind their idea to, get them a start. And not everybody can get a loan from a bank, which is kind of difficult. But I don't know. I've been kind of leaning more towards the idea of figuring out a way to help people accomplish their dreams by collecting ways to give them the knowledge that they need, maybe through others who have been through the same things or things like that. But to be able to start their ideas out, and then if they need a little bit of assistance monetarily, figuring out a way to be able to do that, either through people who've, kind of done the same thing and been successful with it and receive that help, kind of give it back, pay it forward kind of a thing. Which goes over the thing that I wanted to talk about today, too, which is another thing that I wrote. It's called the dichotomy of giving and receiving. And a dichotomy is just a balance of two opposing forces. But yeah, that's kind of full sum the thought for today.
Awesome. Well, do you want to go into that a bit?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess realistically, to start out, in a lot of different ways. You hear it all the time. It's give and take, right? And in that philosophy, it's you give and then you take what you give and you give what you take, if that makes any kind of sense. Just a back and forth. But if you believe in the concept of karma and then its kind of continued ego of Vipka, karma being the balancing of the scales, right? Good karma, bad karma, and then neutral karma kind of sits on both. And then Vipka is the ripening or maturation of karma. So basically like the clearing of the scales. So in a balance of give and take, you have the give side, which would be positive karma. And then you have the take side, which would be the negative karma. And if you're just simply giving and then taking, you're still having the action of taking way down on the negative karmic side. Even if you return exactly what was given, there's still that action that's there. So the way that I've started looking at it is to give and receive. When you give and receive, you have the ability to give freely without cause or question to those that are around you, because you're not worried about having to get back what you're giving, because you're just able to give it. But when you give and give freely, you also gain the ability to receive. Like if you've ever had a moment where a relative offered to pay a bill or something like that, nothing you asked for, but you spoke to your universe and your universe figured out that you have a problem, you need help here, there's not really anything that you can do. And you just find that moment where someone's there to help you, and it's just a gift, something to give. They don't expect anything in return because they know you can't afford it. Maybe if you have the ability and you give it back, cool, that's great. But other than that, it's not really that big of a deal. Unless you have those kinds of relatives who are definitely more on the thought of give and take, in which case they give to you. And so they expect to be able to take from you. But in that same kind of relationship, it really offsets that like scale in that relationship. It usually causes a lot of negative attitudes and drama. On that same note of just giving and receiving, when you look at it that way, and you have to ask for help, right? Like my friends today, I don't have internet at my house, which is super unfortunate. So I had to send a small call for help. And I had a couple of good friends help me out and, get me set up with a good connection to be able to do this, to be able to talk to you. Now, that was, in my eyes, me taking from the situation because I had to ask for help. And so in return, essentially what we're going to be doing is I'll just have a little tiny gift for them, actually. I've got a couple of neat things in my pocket that I was planning on giving. And sometimes they don't have to be anything major. Like I bring around like little stone trinkets, especially if you believe in like the healing power of stones. They're different metaphysical properties and stuff like that. They're pretty cheap in most stone shops. You can get little tiny stones for like 50 cents, $1. I usually carry around a few, and if something cool happens, hey, you know what? Here's a nice shiny trinket. It means this to me, so here's what it might mean to you. Just to be able to share that piece of yourself, and then they look at that thing that they got because they helped you out, and they aren't thinking about it as, oh, I helped him out, so I got this crystal, and I'm not thinking about it like, oh, they helped me out, so I'm going to give them the shiny object. It's just one of those things that kind of captures that memory in a moment and an object to be able to just kind of look at, to hold it.
I like that. I saw it as kind of like a balance. It's like a balancing. Did you say that in the beginning? It's like when you have the scales and you take something off, then one weighs down more. So it's kind of like you're just trading things back.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's accounting for the action of having to have taken. And that clears the scales of karma completely. So you have that return to balance, that equilibrium between friends where you're not feeling like you're being taken advantage of, and you don't feel like you're taking advantage of the situation. Because, it goes even further. If you have a friend who was like, I'm completely broke, I have no gas, can you help me out? And you're in that moment like, yeah, totally. I've got $10. I'm going to go ahead and I'll meet you here where you're at over by there so you can be able to drive and do the thing. And you put some gas in their tank. And then later on, in the weirdest way, because you're having an issue with a girl or something like that, they just happen to give you a really, really solid piece of advice that in that moment really helps you. It kind of just furthers your own life. Treasure for treasure is kind of a thing. But who said that treasure is something that has to be of monetary value? It's something that holds value to its owner. Like, for example, I got gifted a ring. To me, that's an extraordinarily important piece. I could take it to a pawn shop. I could get it appraised. but I'd never get rid of it because sentimentally it's worth far more than what I would assume to be this, $60 to $80 that it's actually physically worth. It's not worth that to me. It's worth so much more. So a gift with like a sentiment, a thought, something that means something, treasure is in the eye of the beholder. So whatever you place value on is what's worth something to you. Not necessarily just money, not necessarily just like an object, but sometimes my favorite treasure personally, it's experiences, it's memories, it's time spent with friends. I'll trade $10 to go, have a $10 or $20 to go have a meal with a friend and maybe learn a cool thing or have an experience, or maybe while we're out, we'll see a really cool car, just something simple to share. It doesn't matter how far that whole thought goes. It's just, just the balance of it. It's kind of interesting too. Lots of fun.
I feel like part of what you're saying too, it's like gratitude just for, because, a lot of people would be like, a lot of people, although you're saying I would spend $10 or $20 just to go out with a friend and maybe see a cool car. People would be like, I'm not going to spend $10 or $20 just to I'll just eat at home and I'll see a cool car any day, or I can Google a cool car. You know what I mean? And I feel like what you're talking about is gratitude.
It really is. No, something else that I've been kind of writing along in that same effect. It's called the Ben Franklin effect. And it's something that kind of shows if you're grateful, what can happen. Basically, what it posits is that in asking a favor from someone, you become more favored by the favoree instead of it just being something that you create that back and forth of giving and taking. You ask for a favor. And in having it done, then that person kind of becomes a little bit more favorable towards you. In Benjamin Franklin's autobiography and some stories about him, basically the little adage goes that he sent a letter to someone that he was in Congress with, someone he never talked to, but he had heard that he had a specific book in his library. So he mailed him and he requested that book just to borrow for a little bit. And so in the mail, a couple of weeks later, he got that book, and so he read it quickly, and he sent it back. Well, the next time the two were in Congress, the congressman greeted Ben Franklin rather favorably because he had expressed his gratitude in his return note for having allowed him to borrow that book. And in doing so and borrowing that book, then he was greeted with much favor at Congress, greeted rather cordially from someone who'd never given him the time, someone that would never have otherwise offered him that, not even slightly. And so the effect kind of posits by simply asking someone a simple favor, like, can you bring me a glass of water? Can you do something that I don't have the ability? Can I borrow your internet? Asking for that simple favor, it shows a little bit of stress on like the human psychology side that they have something that you don't, which can create like a little bit of a design in the mind of it being like they're better than you in some way. They have something that you don't. Not necessarily that they're a better person or that they have more or they're in a better spot or other things like that, but it's just the idea of having something that someone else doesn't and them needing it. So they ask for it, they request it. And when people are grateful for the things that you do, no matter how small, like someone asks for a glass of water and they say, thank you, I was really thirsty, I really needed that. You feel a lot better over just having done something that was a simple action. It took almost no effort to pour a glass, but that gratitude that's shown in it is really what creates the effect, that it shows that there's care in that relationship rather than someone just taking and saying, hey, get me a glass of water. And then you bring them a glass of water and they're just like, okay, drinks water, looks away. You're just like, all right, fine. Okay. The little tiny things. If you pay attention to the little details will almost always pay attention to you. Be grateful for as many things as you possibly can. Like, no matter what, you never know what's actually listening or watching and how far that intent carries. Really, you don't.
That's powerful. Yeah, I feel like it's so easy for us to get caught up in, all the things going, like there's so many things happening at once, and it's so easy for us to just get so caught up in the future and so caught up in getting things done. And then we get frustrated because we think we're on we think we have this many things to get done or this amount of time to do it. You and I were talking about this when you were asking me about superpowers, and we were talking about, time shortage consciousness, for example. And I feel like within gratitude, it's like being what you're saying, or what I'm hearing you say is like presence, like giving someone your presence is a present, right?
It really is, like 100%. Just simply being there for someone, a compliment, it can go a really long way. Just that little bit of gratitude. It's really the intent that's behind it. Something big that I learned along my adventures is that the language of the universe, it isn't words. That's just the language of people, the language of man. The language of the universe is intent. It's what you put behind your actions. It's what you put behind your thoughts. Like, for example, walking into this situation, I intended to speak to you about, well, I wasn't 100% sure, but I believed it'd be a good conversation. I had the full intent of that. And it's been a pretty great ride so far. I'm excited to see where it goes, but it's just that intent walking into the situation. You walk into, a work day with the intent, the thought that this is going to be a long day. That day is going to drag on and on and on. It's going to feel like forever because time, after all, it does tick at a certain rate, but it's a perspective perception. It's how long you think it is. How long without looking at a clock, without hearing a metronome? How long does a second actually last? Like in your own mind, you can't really perceive its length, but there are those moments where 5 minutes feels like an hour, or an hour feels like 5 minutes, right? Like it just seems to fly or drag. And it kind of goes to show that same note of intent. If you intend for those moments to last a little bit longer, to make this time go by quickly, you find that you do all of the little things that you needed to do, and boom, end of your workday. It just flew by. And you feel like you didn't waste any time. You got all the things done. And then in the moments where you want to spend an extra moment with a friend, a good conversation over a cup of tea, something really simple, like my favorite treasure. I'm not kidding. Like a good moment with a friend.
Yeah.
It's those moments that create moments like this, like my ability to be able to talk to you today. That's something that was created out of a shared treasure moment between friends. We actually got some, it was Tim and I, we went and got some triple berry pie. He invited me out to Sherry's. I love pie.
Wow.
And
that sounds like an Idaho thing.
It really is.
Like, let's go get some pie.
Well, I mean, he invited me out for food. That was the original send thought, because I didn't have any cash in my pocket. And I was like, can my girlfriend and I come grab food? And like, will you buy a plate? We can split it. And so the place that they were at ended up closing. So we ended up going to Sherry's instead. And we pulled up and we got a little, like some pie. Like they had like a full pie on the table. And I was like, I had this giant goofy grin on my face. I'm like, pie, please, can I have a cup of coffee? I love you. You're the best. Thank you for feeding me. Yay.
Oh, that sounds sweet.
But it was a moment like that he got me some pie and we talked, and I talked about the whole like dichotomy of giving and receiving thing with him, just like kind of in its infancy, if you will. And from there, he told me about, I think it's like the Alexa Rose grant or something like that, which is something that you can apply for to help you be able to further your art.
Alexa Rose?
I think so. That's what it was. It was something Rose grant. I can't remember. I'd have to pull it up. But he gave me that idea. Crazy. And then told me, and we talked a little bit about something we had talked about months before, which is what I could possibly do for his community, which is Manifest Ascension, or like the whole Positive Heads community. And then this is what we ended up talking about. So it was a moment that was like that, a treasure of both pie and a good conversation, that I'm here today in this moment talking to you. You never know what's valuable to somebody.
No, that's true. That really is true. I love that. So what else from the dichotomy of giving and receiving? Okay, so what are some other highlights of this dichotomy of giving and receiving? Things that we should know or take away from it?
Well, I mean, realistically, for a lot of people, it's that balance of karma is the biggest note that I've found out of giving and receiving versus giving and taking is, you know, how good karma, right? Vivka clears it, and you get random good things. Good karma and good luck can come in a lot of different ways. Like going out on a busy night and finding a parking spot, like right up front of the restaurant that you want to go to, middle of the city.
Yeah.
I've had that happen a few times. It's kind of crazy. It's weird. And then there's the moments of like you just hear a couple really good songs on the radio, and almost every time in the last couple of weeks you've turned on the radio, it's been a song you didn't want to hear. Or you changed the channel a bunch, or it's just kind of or like you hit your autoplay playlist on like YouTube or Spotify or Pandora, and you just get like the most amazing sounds that kind of come through. And the inverse is true too. Like for negative karma, like your coffee table somehow magically managed to move like 2 millimeters to the left, and you find yourself banging your pinky toe on it really hard. Or you're listening, you turn on the radio and it's like your least favorite artist, and you're just like, and you change it to the next radio station that you normally listen to, and it's like same artist, different song, and you're just like, why? Why are you like this? And then you're just like, you know what? I'm not listening to music at the moment. So you kill the radio and you go to like McDonald's and you roll down your window to take your order, and you hear the radio station playing over the loudspeaker that's on the outside, and it's the same song that you just can't get away from at this point. Mm-hmm. Almost like the universe is laughing at you, like, yeah. But that karmic balance is what really comes to it, because when you take, or when you see people take without having the intent to give back, or they lie about it, it creates like a universal it's called cognitive dissonance. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I do. But can you explain it for those listening?
Yes, please. I love talking about things and explaining stuff. It's great to teach. It's like the essence of being a wizard. Like I said, understanding how magic works.
That's what I meant when I was asking you about a podcast. I feel like you're a teacher, like, and you're an interesting teacher. I feel like if I had a teacher like you, I would like listen because you're interesting when you talk.
I mean, that's pretty solid. I do cool stuff sometimes, like not all the time. I'm not perfect. I'm only human. But I like to have fun with it. And I like to explain things and concepts. Always been really good at painting pictures in the minds of people just with words, because, well, it's the intent that I put behind them. I intend for you to see what I'm saying, to be able to visualize it, to be able to conceptualize it in your own mind, which honestly, even with the way that I talk, because sometimes I'm a little fast, or sometimes I use words that people don't necessarily know, I still have that ability to kind of paint that picture on almost like a non-vocal communication level. And that's like my favorite part. But to teach the magic here, cognitive dissonance, basically what it is it's a naturally occurring effect in the human mind. When you have a core set of beliefs, like I will do no harm to my friends, I won't steal, I won't do anything bad or negative to them, and then something happens, you on impulse or by accident or otherwise do something that's against those core beliefs. Like if you've ever been in a bad living situation with a close friend, and then just suddenly you move out without really saying much. Maybe you don't pay the last month's rent, or you do something that honestly causes them a negative detriment. Then in that moment, you kind of beat yourself up. Like, oh, that was really kind of fucked up. Like that was really bad. Something I shouldn't have done. And so you've got those mental alarm bells of grief going on. And the thing about cognitive dissonance is that's one part of it too. Is as those alarm bells go off, you wear your internal thoughts outside pretty heavily. So if you're feeling like that cognitive dissonance about a thing, you're usually a little shifty. You move to the side. You don't make eye contact. You're shuffly. You try to avoid, the whole situation because it's awkward. It's like talking to your mom about sex when you're 14. It's just a weird conversation and you just don't want to have it. So you avoid it in so many different ways. And the other side of cognitive dissonance is the way that your brain goes through to silence those alarm bells, to quiet them down. Typically, we often dehumanize the aspect of what we did negative to, much like in like World War II and history and stuff like that. Prison guards and camp guards would often dehumanize their captives, their prisoners of war, and you hear of these things that were horrible crimes, absolutely just disgusting things that happened. And that's kind of the offset side of that same cognitive dissonance. Because if you think about it, if you're in that situation, you really don't want to have somebody that looks like you in a cage. It's just weird. It's not right. Like that doesn't seem like something anybody would want. So you dehumanize it. You make it not exactly the same, and then those things become a lot easier. In the pursuit of sanity, it is far easier to cause harm to something that is not the target of your admonishment, something you admire. Far easier to cause harm to something that you think is far less. And on the same note of that example from before, having, moved out abruptly and kind of caused someone some negative detriment on paying rent, stuff like that, you feel bad about it. You think about it and you kind of beat yourself up. Well, after you start to do that and you kind of just get over it, you get past it a little bit. At that moment, you start to say, okay, that was a really bad living situation. That was somewhere I did not need to be. Those people were absolutely this, that, the other thing. It was really bad. Here's why I did what I did. You justify it. And in that moment where you dehumanized it, you no longer have the same admiration you did for the people involved, even if they helped you out through a lot. Like maybe initially moving into that house, you'd been almost homeless or, something absolutely intense. And they, out of the kindness of their hearts, helped you out. Never really held it over your head, but it's not something you really think about. And so in that moment where you realize that whole cognitive dissonance thing kicks right back in and those grief alarm bells just keep going off, it just makes it really hard. Like you see that person out in public, you shy away. You cause them some stress when they did something that was really amazing for you in the beginning. So you're kind of stuck in that half, like, this was shitty, but here's why. But I feel really bad about it because they helped me out and they're still someone that I care about. So it's in those moments where you have that you can still have a conversation because the love is still there. That same balance of giving and receiving is still existent because, yeah, you can go back and forth and you might have taken something from them by, moving out abruptly. But when you re-enter that conversation, it doesn't necessarily have to be of the same monetary value. Maybe it's just a really kind word, or maybe you heard something along the way that's a job opportunity for them to be able to, get themselves back on track, or you never know how you can help them because they did innately help you. You might have been, kosher on rent the way through, or maybe you didn't, completely screw them at the end, but it's just kind of that offset balance that you got to account for. And then you have good karmic returns on it, especially if you make sure to take care of those things. And the most important thing that I've learned about all of this, no matter what, is be accountable for what you do. If you fuck up, be accountable. Own it. You did it. It's okay. Everybody messes up. Everybody poops. There's a book about it, I think. Like, if you do, own it.
Yeah,
if you do something good, own it. Don't obviously make it bigger than it is. Don't be all over the place saying, oh, hey, I did this, this, and this. It doesn't need to be something that you brag about because that's on its own negative karmic scale. Just for the simple fact that, yeah, you did a good thing, but you're being kind of a dick about it. So, like, have a stubbed toe on the coffee table. Like, just be humble a little bit, okay? It's okay. Don't worry about it. Like, in that same kind of respect, it works as just a really good balance, like yin and yang. It just continuously shifts and spends.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, it's very true. As you're talking, I'm thinking about, things that I've done in the past that I've kind of like run away from and buried. And I mean, some of them were so small, but some of them were, not huge, but more significant. And, and how, and I was thinking about my relationships with those people and how it's almost like turned me on them, even though it was like something that I did, Yep. Yeah, actually I had a dream about that last night. I'm thinking about it, which is funny. So yeah.
You never know. Sometimes your dreams are a little on the prophetic side. They think about the things that might happen and you dream about them. And if you remember them, sometimes those dreams just tend to manifest like in the little weird ways. Like you might have seen a certain car in your dream and you wake up and you're still thinking about it. And then later on that day, you see the same car. It's just as a weird thing. When you realize that there's no such thing as coincidence, you really begin to understand how powerful the ability to manifest things is. Like random little things. Food, you got it. Like friends, cool, taken care of. A good conversation, solid send. Just to help someone out, just to do a cool thing. Send. Oh no, that's like been one of my favorite things lately is like just send it, because just send your thoughts to the universe, send them to a friend. But you want to put emphasis and energetic intent behind it, full send. Just like full send, like all the way out to whoever it goes. Like if you're just about that thought, that is something I've been really big on, and it's a lot of fun. Oh, and there's also the other one. There's always one more for the believers, because if you believe in it and you really believe without the expectation of it being there, but with the intent of it being there, you never know. You might find an extra one of something that shouldn't have been there. It just pops up out of the ether.
Yeah, I like that. Full send. Awesome. Well, let me ask you this. What is one thing that you, Brandon Wolfe, think is really important for every P head to know or understand as they continue on their own journey?
Honestly, I can think of a few things, rules, guidelines, things that I live my life by. But honestly, the biggest thing that I can possibly think of is be yourself. Exist with who you are and what you want to do. Don't be afraid to shy away from a situation because it makes you uncomfortable. If you want to walk into a situation and do well, you have to be accepting of yourself. To truly love and fall in love and accept what's going to happen to you and around you, you've got to love yourself first. You find the things you like and you know who you are, you know where you're at. It becomes a lot easier to just interact with the world around you because you're not trying to find that other people around you love, find things that other people around you love, not trying to be something that because you think other people will love it, but you're just truly unapologetically yourself. You're a little odd, you're a little eccentric, you dress interestingly, you do all sorts of odd things. Be yourself about it. Obviously, if it causes distress and discord, you can always change parts of yourself that don't work out, and you can manifest different parts of yourself to be like what comes through, but always keep everything really close to you. Like the things that you find important, your hobbies, your hopes, your dreams, your favorite questions, things that you like to ask. Ooh, actually, speaking of questions on the way out, I got one for you, and this is my second favorite question to ask.
Okay.
Sailing at the head of your vessel, pirate captain on the high seas, what is her name? What is your pirate ship's name? What would you call her? Or him. I mean, your son.
Oh, wow. Your scent. That's funny. That's another, that's also synchronistic because yesterday I posted this quote that was, it was like, it was like the quote about how like a ship is safe in the harbor, but that's not what a ship is for, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So I'm so big on names. So there's a lot going through my head.
Come on. What's the first thing that popped in? Like, don't think about it too hard. If you put too much effort into it, you're going to... Opulence? That's a good word.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite words. And it means like beauty and like luxury, like so opulent, like so beautiful. So I'd say opulence.
As it's actually dictionary defined, it's a noun for great wealth or luxuriousness. Some synonyms for it, like lavishness or richness, lushness, luxury, costliness, grandiosity, grandeur, magnificence. That's a good word. Magnificent. Yeah, magnificent and majestic have always been like two of my favorite compliment words. Because I mean, like, have you ever been just like randomly told you look majestic, my friend? Like, that is holy. What you're making me, I'm not a king, but you're making me feel like royalty. Like, solid.
I don't know if I have. I guess I would know if I have because that felt good when you just said it to me. So, what's the name of your ship?
Well, I am forever sticking with the Jolly Waffle.
The Jolly Waffle?
The Jolly Waffle.
Oh, I love that.
Pirate flag, it's totally a waffle with a mustache on it, like smiling face. And then instead of the crossbones, it's like a knife and a fork.
Forks,
like, come on, eat some good things. Like, come on, let's go on an adventure. This isn't necessarily your main kind of like plundering pirate ship, but
Yeah.
we're going to go sail the high seas and stop into port towns and we'll feed people. We'll take care of them. We'll share our treasure and they'll share theirs and we'll trade cool things and stories. Like,
I love it. I think you should bring back waffle pirates.
I'm totally down. I honestly, random things have come my way a lot as far as like treasure. People will give me necklaces or rings or just bracelets. Candy is one of my favorite, like the things that have like little writings on them, letterings and stuff like that.
Yes.
For people who do raves and stuff like that, those come my way all the time.
I used to make those all the time.
Yeah, I know. See, that's another thing you could totally gift out if you have like a kind word or something that reminds you of a thing. Just a simple beaded bracelet costs a couple $. Like, not anything major, and you can bring it to someone and give it to them, and it'll remind you of them, or it'll remind them of you. You know, just that shared memory. It's a little tiny thing. I've got honestly 2 on me right now that I really love a lot. One of them is made by a good friend of mine, someone really special. It says "summon me" because I mean wizards are summonable, right? But sometimes there's a cost to that little summoning ritual. For me, it's time. I told you earlier, I'm kind of bad with it, so. Sometimes when somebody wants me to come over, they'll message me and I'll say, all right, I'll be there soon. And it'll be like an hour later or something a little ridiculous. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, my bad. I was doing a thing, summoning ritual to summon a wizard, my dude. Sometimes the cost is time. But thanks. I appreciate it. Now I get to play with it a little bit more. And then the other one, my friend Tim made me, another P head and one of the heads of Manifest Ascension. And it says Wolfle because...
Wolfe.
Yeah, WOLFLE. Because that's how the whole waffle name began, was because it was spelled waffle as a part of Wolf. So it's kind of like that in between space. It's still the wolf, but it's still got the waffle. So I like it.
Oh, I love it. What a good hybrid.
I thought it was pretty great.
Wolfle. Right? Yeah, and it also sounds like willful.
Yeah.
Like willful.
I guess these two together would make a willful summoning. I like it. Full send. Please and thank you.
Full send.
But the other thing that I think everybody should honestly know is to be full of gratitude. Yeah. Be grateful for the little things in life. One of the I read a book of like positive quotes every day, and one of the ones that I saw from a little while before was just simply to be grateful for when you wake up. It's almost like that morning routine part of a thing. Like you brush your teeth every day, or maybe you do some push-ups every day. You drink coffee every day. Just as it is, addiction and discipline are 2 sides of the same coin. So if you wake up in the morning and you think of a few things that you're grateful about, I am grateful that my bed is super comfy and I really want to go back to sleep. I'm grateful that I just turned over and looked at my alarm and I have an extra 15 minutes to just kick it here. Little tiny bits of gratitude to start your day. And it takes 21 days to form a habit, like 90 days to form an addiction. So if you just kind of begin doing that every day, just in the little bits, you get addicted to positivity. You get addicted to kindness. You get addicted to gratitude. That's the other thing that my adventures have sent. I just be grateful for everything. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for the fact that I have a roof over my head, that I have food in my belly, that if ever I'm broke and I have nothing, I have friends that'll help me with a place to call home. I'm grateful for all of it, and I'll never stop. Because when you're grateful, the universe will give you plenty of things to be grateful about. If you complain and are negative about things, it'll send that back just the same.
Yes, it will. I love that. And I love talking to you. We're running out of time. So I just wanted to give you, is there anything else that you feel super compelled to share right now? You have such good energy. I can't wait to hear your future podcast, which I know is coming. But anything you feel really called to share before we wrap up here?
Yeah, actually, there is one thing, and I'm going to send it out as a big thank you to the friends of mine that I'm assuming and hoping will listen to this. And honestly, thank you for believing in me. Anything that's believed in has power. So because people believe in me to be able to do the things that I do to help the people that I help, it gives me the ability to do so. This morning honestly started off a little bit odd for me. I had honestly kind of lost belief in myself and my ability to do the things that I do. But I helped a friend get from where he was to his house. I helped another just kind of with a good morning message when she was having a bad day. And another later on, after I get done with this, he locked himself out of his car. So I'm going to go help him as best as I can. But it's the fact that people believe in me that allows me to continue. Even if I don't believe in myself, I always have my friends, my family, and the people in my life to believe in me. So I guess I'll say it to everybody else who listens too. And that's that I believe in you. And just surely for existing is the best part. But if ever there's a moment where you lose belief in yourself, where you lose belief in what's going on, that you have the ability to do, well, you've heard my words, you've heard my voice, you believe in me at least a little bit. I obviously exist. So believe in the me that believes in you, because I'll never stop. I'll never stop in anybody believing in anybody's ability to accomplish their dreams, to accomplish whatever they want, their hopes, their goals, their aspirations, full send. I believe that anybody can accomplish the things that they are meant to, what they want to, what they will. And that's the most amazing thing about it.
That is beautiful. And I, it's funny. I was having like a weird day today too. And I think you're just reminding me as well that, you're just reminding me that it's really like in those times when like you said, we lose faith in ourselves or we don't believe in ourselves, it's actually the thing we least expect is what brings us back to ourselves, which is connecting with someone else and helping them. Because it gets us out. Like for me, that's what I've noticed brings my mood up completely. And it's always right before I really don't feel like doing it too. I'm like, oh, I don't feel like doing this. The second that I do it, it's like I remember who I am through helping them. I reconnect with my ability through, like you said, offering my help to them and seeing them get somewhere or seeing something work out for them and me being a part of it. And so I think that's a really good reminder, to connect with others. And when you lose faith in yourself, a really good thing to do is like connect with someone else and help them with something. And it's going to remind you of your power as well.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Yeah. Also, I know we're running out of time, but I do have to give one extra special thanks to people who let me use their internet to be able to do this today. Their names are Garen and Maddie, and I hope they accomplish all of their dreams. But they just brought me a plate of like cheesy eggs and some waffles, and I'm so happy right now I could cry. Like,
You'll be full today.
My heart be still. Swoon. Less swoon.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, I heard you guys talking off mic, and they just sounded like the cutest friends and so sweet, and like you all were really connected. And so thank you guys for letting him use the internet, and thank you, Brandon. It was really nice to connect with you. Thank you for sharing, and hopefully our paths cross soon. Full send. Did I use that right? I have no idea.
100%. And you can use it however you'd like, because I mean, it's your idea now. Like, I just gave you the seed, a thought. However you want to use it, your own perspective, perception, that's all you. That's not me. That's just a piece of me that's gone out. There's no right or wrong way to do anything. It's just the way that you do it. That's the best part. It's so much fun because you just fuck around and find out. Come on.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Brandon, thank you so much and have a beautiful rest of your day.
I absolutely will. I hope you do the same. I hope it's absolutely as amazing as you are. And I definitely hope that our paths cross soon. Somehow I get the feeling they will. But you know what? I don't have any expectation on it. Just the intent that everything is going to go well.
Love it. Talk to you soon, brother. That's it for this week's episode. If you're a listener with a story to share and are interested in being featured on a future episode of this special series, you can email me at alexa@positivehead.com. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear Brandon constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place we know of to do it. period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at Gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. Otherwise, tune in next Friday for another P-Head Posse episode. And until then, as Brandon always says, journey well.